It's the place you go when you finish your show. We're your two best friends. Our names are Max and Ben. We're self-proclaimed television experts. It's Reality Alert. Oh, look who's back in town. Daddy
Damn.
Nick has arrived.
I forget how good that intro song is.
Oh, thank you.
Or is it Nicky Boy now?
Nicky
Yeah,
Boy.
true. My nickname keeps evolving.
Yeah. But, you still
From
have
a daddy to a boy.
you
I
still
know,
have that
Nicky.
big Nick energy, We
Exactly.
still have it.
Yeah.
Hashtag Big Nick energy.
All right, sound bites. Yeah, Shuby just yelled Nicky as soon as I got on the show. I'm sorry if I'm skipping plot points here, but he's the only person besides Rachel who calls me Nicky Boy, but Shuby just called me Nicky, yells it out. So then the host, who's never met me, just assumes that's like what I like to be called, and just called me Nicky the whole time.
You're getting rebranded right before your eyes.
I know.
Yeah.
Was Taylor, the host, the only person you hadn't met before on the show? It seemed like you knew
It
everyone.
seems like you knew everybody.
Yeah, right? Dude, I had no excuse not to win, honestly. Like in the most objective way possible, I had every advantage, compared to everyone else. I knew Shuby, and then I didn't know the Circle people, but it's Circle, so whatever, Circle fam. You have an alliance.
Yeah.
And then I knew Chase and Georgia from Perfect Match. I had a little fling thing with Polly where I filmed a date with her on Selling BOC that they never aired.
Mm-hmm.
And then through Polly, I met Gio already in LA and whatever. So I knew all those people. And then I did a TikTok, super random TikTok series with Avery in Vegas a year prior. So
what about Lorenzo? Did you know Lorenzo?
No. So the only people I didn't know were Trey, Lorenzo, and then the cheerleaders. And then I didn't know Bree or Louie, but yeah, everyone else I kind of already knew.
Yeah.
The Pauly thing, I think, was a surprise to a lot of people. I mean, we were very surprised.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your connection with Polly?
Yeah. So, I was at I think it was the Love Is Blind season 3 watch party, premiere event in LA. So they brought a bunch of the Netflix universe people there. I was chatting it up with the Selling OC people. I thought that was a sound bite. I was like, whoa. I was chatting it up with the Selling OC people, and I was just getting along super well with Polly. We were just had great chat, great banter, and thought she had a funny vibe. And then I was living in San Diego and for 3 months, and she knew that, and she was in obviously Orange County, and she hit me up and was like, hey, we're filming Selling OC season 3. I loved meeting you. We had good vibes. We were kind of flirty in the DMs and stuff. She was like, would you be down to have us get filmed on a date for the show? And I was like, heck yeah. So then went, filmed it, everything. And then it just didn't make the cut.
How was the date?
Yeah, was it good?
We had a fun time, but it was very, I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but of all the reality show sets that I've been on, that set was definitely a bit less reality feeling.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I feel at one point you guys said something about 2 weeks or something. Was a 2-week time frame thrown around?
We had 2 weeks of history, which is about right. We met at that event in LA, and then a couple weeks late, we had been talking for a little bit of time, and then she invited me to.
It wasn't like you vacationed with her for 2 weeks.
And then I was first I was kind of pissed that she yelled that out when I got in, because I was no, I don't want a target on me for a showmance or whatever. Mm-hmm. Power couple, because I love watching Survivor and Big Brother, and power couples are usually not a good thing to be in. No. And she yelled that out as the first intro for all these contestants. So damn it. Which is why I kind of shot it down. I mean, aside from the fact that we were no longer talking a year later, but I didn't want to humor the showmance at all the whole time. Not only for strategy reasons, but also Francesca flashback reasons. I was I will not be getting in a showmance.
Still triggering to this day, Nick.
I can't even walk on stairs anymore.
Well, I do want to say, Nick, I mean, Polly is your type.
Typically go for like brunettes. I feel like brunettes are sort of wife vibes.
Could you see marriage to Polly at some point? You know,
you're not wrong. I do
outside of
think
the game.
I need a brunette in my life. So
Yeah.
if there's any brunettes listening to the podcast, slide in the DMs.
Brains and brows. Look out.
Damn, I need to get some of these on my phone.
You and Shuby, I feel like we just, know you guys so well. You know, it's like
you guys were the real power couple on the show.
Yeah.
Why weren't people ultra threatened by you two talking?
Well, so Shuby was like, I was set up for success so well. And like Shuby was really the only person I had hung out with a bunch of times outside of TV. Like he's come to Austin a bunch. I've hung out with him in LA. We're like actual friends. And it just so happens that he's like the most likable guy on the planet. So like no one wanted to get rid of him. So I was like, this dude is like the perfect ally to have on the show as well. Like not only do I trust him at like a personal level, but also no one wants to get rid of him. No one wants to like vote me out and make him mad or like all this stuff. So it's like he was the perfect partner for me for that. So yeah, it was great.
So do you think that's why people were so threatened by like Chase and Kyle, but you guys were kind of doing the same thing, but nobody really cared?
Well, the other thing is like, and maybe I'm wrong, like maybe I was ignorant to it, but I didn't really feel like people really saw the Nick Shuby alliance like as hardcore as it was. Cause like whenever we were talking, like even the clip of us talking about Austin nightlife, baby, we're like on the bench, like I'm kind of just like looking forward the whole way. Cause even in my head, I'm like, I don't want people to think we're like buddy homeboy. Like I'm talking to him, like facing this way while he's here. like I'm scoping out other conversations that are happening at camp at that time. And like, I was trying to keep that on the down low because I had the whole Bears cabin with circle people. It was literally Shuby, QT, Kyle. And then, so I was set up for success there. And I like didn't want my team to know that. And so I was just like trying to make me and Shuby as subtle as possible. But with Chase and Kyle, they were like the exact opposite of that. Like they would be yelling strategy across the camp. I was like, what's happening? like, yeah. So
it's very confident. Yeah.
There was one night where we got to have one beer. And that night,
what?
Like, Shuby and I were like dying laughing with each other, like talking about the strategy of some of our other contestants and like what was going on. Cause like Shuby would like, the Bears would like tell Kyle something and then he would yell it over to Chase all the way over to my Eagle cabin, just out in the open. And we're like, what are you doing? like, it's like, oh my God. Like it blew my mind, some of the decisions that some people were making there, but it was not with me. I was just flying under the radar at that point.
You were, yeah. When you entered the game, did you get any sort of feeling that you were like a last minute replacement kind of thing?
Are you saying I didn't deserve to be there?
No. Sorry, I phrased that wrong. I meant like for like Tony, because you were brought in.
I had no idea that someone had just like left. But to be fair, I had no idea even what was happening. I knew the show was called Battle Camp. I had no idea how you win. I had no idea what you win. I had no idea how you get eliminated. And it was really annoying because here's the full tea. I was like in the hotel waiting to go in. They're like, we're starting filming. And I wasn't picked. So I knew I wasn't in the starting lineup. So already I was like a little annoyed because I feel like from circle history, like if you're in the original lineup, you're usually going to do better because you can like form the alliances and stuff. And people who come in late are at a big disadvantage. So I was like, damn. But then like a few days roll by and they're like, all right, Nick, like pack a day bag because like you might go in tomorrow. I'm like, sick. And then they're like, oh, actually, it was a girl who got eliminated, so you're not going in. I was like, like why would you even call? How do you not know who's getting like eliminated?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Like it made no sense to me. Next day, sorry, it's a girl. Next day, sorry, it's a girl. It's like, what? Quit building up my like emotions for this, and only to be like it's a girl. But at the time, obviously, I didn't know they were literally spinning a wheel, so like they didn't know.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So then they brought in. Then Tony luckily left, so that's when they brought me in. And I think because so many girls got eliminated at the start, that's why like at the end they bring in Chase and Kyle together because they just had so many guys left in the hotel. They're like, let's bring these 2 guys and make them do tug of war.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How quickly were you updated on the whole Tony situation? Was it kind of like the talk of the town?
Yeah, well, because I joined that cabin, they were kind of like,
yeah.
they were like, we're so glad you're here. Like, the previous guy was like throwing tantrums and whatever. So
And like the door was off the hinge, and you could tell.
Yeah.
Apparently. Hold on, let me get this squeaky toy from my dog real quick.
Yeah, I was like, wait, Ben's mic is muted. Why
Yeah,
can't I hear a
because of
squeaky
my dog.
toy?
All right.
I was like, Ben doesn't have a squeaky dog toy.
Yeah, I didn't think I did either. So I'm kind of annoyed that I bought that one.
So how did you feel about everybody being like immediately threatened by you and like your presence for the pole position challenge?
Yeah, it was kind of annoying. So honestly, I knew I was going to be a target because when I walked in, I was honestly, the show's called Battle Camp. I thought it was going to be super physical, super like sporty, competitive team sport vibes. That's why like I come in, I'm like, we're going to win everything, blah, 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 like trying to boost morale. And it was just not like that. Like a bunch of the people were not that athletic, to be fair. And I'm not sure if some of them had even played competitive sports and stuff. So I thought there was going to be like a lot stronger physical competitors there, and there just weren't. So immediately I knew. I like saw Louis, and I was like, okay, this dude is the only other like stereotypical strong guy here. So I knew I was going to be a target for that reason. And then I knew like the word on the street was that I was smart. So I was like, I'm kind of screwed. So I knew that was going to happen. But luckily, I came in with Morgan like the same day as Morgan. So I was like, oh, like I had heard all these newcomers were getting all the votes, and I was like trying to play it cool. I was like, oh yeah, guys, like I totally get it. It's sort of like a initiation thing. Like it makes sense. Got to test the newcomer, put them through the ringer. But I was like, for sure, they're going to split the votes between me and Morgan then to make it fair because we're both the newcomers. And it just like all went onto me, except for my team that voted for Morgan. But like all the other teams, Bears and Wolves, just Nick.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Do you wish that you hadn't gone against Louis in that competition to like show off your strength? Like, how do you think about that in retrospect?
No, honestly, like I don't think it had anything to do with that, to be fair. Because like all I did in that challenge was monkey bars. Like,
yeah,
I was like, oh, really? Monkey bars at however high up it was. I don't know, 50 feet or whatever. But it's like literally all I did was some monkey bars, and that was it. But people were just gonna frame it as like a physical threat, no matter what, because that's how these things work. You want to try to find. It's like the circle. You want any ounce of catfishery, and you get like your finger pointed at you. And it's like the same with this. Any reason to get someone out is going to get magnified, which obviously happens with Trey later. But yeah.
Once your name gets thrown out there, it's so hard to erase that.
Yeah.
What was
luckily, I was like a good competitor for my team. So like they weren't going to vote me out internally, which I knew had happened a little bit before I got there. And
yeah.
So I was like, that's good at least. And then once I got the circle, once I had enough time to get like my circle alliance going, then I was pretty safe on that side too. So
what was your strategy for this spill punishment where you had to balance the tray? Can you talk about this?
Yeah.
Did you use physics?
Yeah. So the first part of the strategy was before the game even started.
Whoa.
I was like, let me think about which hand, because you're allowed to switch hands once. I was like, what would be the smartest thing to do? My strong hand? And try to hold it really long there, and then switch to a weaker one and probably hold it for less than that amount of time. Or start with my weak hand, transfer over, and people are going to think that, oh, Nick doesn't have much left because he's switching over to his weak hand, but really I'm switching my strong hands, which should last longer than this one. So maybe if I switch, then they'll do an early switch, but they'll be switching to their weak hand, but I was secretly switching to my strong hand type vibe. So I start with my weak hand, and then the whole like mindset I have there, I read the like one of those David Goggins books before. So I was just like trying to think like what Goggins would do here, like trying to convince myself it was all mental and like no physical pain existed and all this stuff. And like literally just completely zoned out. Like it was 30 minutes or something. Like I was just standing there for 30 minutes. I had my eyes closed for probably 15 of those minutes and like was just staring. There 30 camera crew like in front of you, like getting all the angles of everything. And I was just like staring like through them, just like totally zoning out. But I do think starting with my weekend was a good idea. I was surprised that I never had to switch, but I'm glad I didn't have to, because I was a little nervous that I would like botch it on the handoff. But
Yeah, it seemed risky to move it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, it wasn't even my shoulder or anything that like hurt afterwards. It was literally the muscles like in my fingers, because I think it was just like so many like micro adjustments and movements that like these little muscles that I've never used before were just dying. And then also afterwards, I was like, shoot, Nick, you're such an idiot. You were already a threat, and now you didn't even switch hands. So then afterwards, I was trying to like milk it a little more, like, my arm.
So at the first wheel spin, you get 7 votes. You calculate that you have a 40% chance of going home. After Louis is eliminated, you even start crying. Can you tell us about these emotions that you were experiencing?
Right.
Oh, Nick, me?
Crying is a
You were
strong
crying.
word.
You were crying.
Sobbing.
Tearing up.
Okay, all right.
Not
Louis
a
had such an
single tear left
impact
the
on
eye
you.
socket. But yeah, no. So basically, here was my mindset. I'd been in a hotel for like, I don't know, probably close to 2 weeks. Maybe it was less, but it felt like 2 weeks. They finally bring me into the show. I'm like, I'm using all my vacation days from work. Okay, so I got a lot on the line here. I go in, and then I'm like, I've been on enough shows to know that like production, it's a production, right? And so I'm like, okay. My name's on there 7 times. That's not great, but I don't think that's like a production thing. Like maybe during some of the interviews, they're like, well, don't you think you should maybe vote for Nick or something? Like they could have done that. But I understood why I got votes. Like I wasn't offended by that. But then for them to, for the first time ever, to do a double spin after I was an all-time high surviving after my 7 name thing. And then like, we're spinning it again. I was like, production is like literally doing everything in their power to get me out of this on my first day. So that's why I was like, went from so happy to just like devastated to like, damn, I'm really not going to survive here, which is why I got a little watery eyes, but then I made it. So couldn't blame production.
It all worked. The wheel did what the wheel does, right?
Yeah.
The wheel, yeah, I've got a lot of mixed emotions about the wheel.
Do you want to tell us about those mixed emotions?
Not necessarily.
Well, it's actually interesting because after you survive this elimination, you say that you hope that by surviving the wheel, that people will now view this as you are supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about this?
Yeah. So when I show up, they're like, yeah, like Avery's name was on there so much, but then she survived. So we were like, yes, she's supposed to be here. Like all this stuff. Like people were into this like woo-woo stuff. So I literally just said that to try to like play into the woo-woo of camp. Like, yeah, guys, I'm not a threat. The wheel gods like think I'm supposed to be at camp for the VODs. Was like kind of what I was going for with that. Because people were literally talking about that. Like the whole time I was there, they were saying how people were like, the wheel has chosen, like you're supposed to be here. So I was literally just trying to feed into that camp mentality.
Well, and the wheel chose too that Louis and Bree were a true love story.
It's a real love story. Did you think it was a real love story?
Look, I thought it was very convenient. A very convenient.
It's not your fault. It's the wheel. It's the wheel. It's the wheel. It just freaking sucks.
Exactly.
It's the wheel.
It's the wheel.
Bree and Louis were definitely like getting after it. Yeah, that was like there were some real emotions there. It seemed
Beautiful. How did you feel when Kyle and Chase showed up?
Could not have been happier when Kyle and Chase showed up. It was like I was looked at as a big physical threat, even though like I'm not that, like I'm athletic, but I'm not like that big of a guy or whatever. So when Chase and Kyle came in, I was like, thank the Lord. The target is like off of my back now. We have these 2 other physical threats. I'll use them as shields. And wildly to me, they would not drop the whole team captain thing. Like I thought they were going to be like, yeah, team captain, we draft these people, done. Even after that, they kept referring to themselves as the team captains and stuff and like the decision makers. I'm like, why are you doing that? You're just like putting such a target on your back and like claiming responsibility for anything that like happens or anyone who gets voted out. Like, what are you doing? So I was so stoked about their strategy moves.
I have a feeling they consider themselves the team captain wherever they go in life, right?
Yeah, probably.
They just kind of have those vibes.
Yeah, but it was great. I loved it. I was very excited when that happened.
And then
I actually knew Chase from Perfect Match decently well. And we like talked a fair amount after the show. So I actually like trusted the guy. So I was pretty stoked to actually be on his team too. Because then I had like me and Chase at least on my team, and then me and Shuby on the other team. That's why in the draft moment, when I get to pick who to draft, I picked Trey instead of like Shuby, because I was like, I'd much rather have an insider on the other team, like Shuby on the other team, to give me like intel. And then I picked Trey because he was like, I thought he would be a decent shield for me because he was already like not popular at camp. And then also it's kind of like a keep your enemies closer vibe. Like if anyone's trying to do like snakery and stuff, like I'd rather have my eye on that and like hear some of those plans. But yeah.
And as it turned out, he ended up being better at challenges than you guys thought.
Yeah, true. He was definitely a challenge beast.
So were you happy about the way that teams worked out?
I just don't think it made the best like TV necessarily, because it was basically just like the same teams. But,
what did you think about them making the blue cabin go like twice on some of those challenges?
Yeah, that was actually a huge debate on the rock wall. So they had to send like 2 people twice or something for the rock wall. And we had a huge debate about it in terms of like rules and regulation about like what was fair. Because we were like, what do you mean they're allowed to like send their strong person like Kyle, who everyone thought would be better at rock climbing than he was, but it's like they're allowed to have Kyle do this 3 times, but we can't have Nick do it 3 times. Like we have to send everyone, but they're allowed to have like a strong person go beat everyone 3 times. Like we thought it was kind of unfair in that way. We were like, they should have to have like their weakest person go more time. Like it was like a whole debate that.
You thought it could be an advantage for them?
Yeah, I never viewed it that
Bears.
way. I always saw that as the opposite.
No, we definitely saw it as an advantage for Bears to be able to like have, because it's not that draining to climb the freaking rock wall. Like I could have beaten every single person down the line back to back, theoretically. I don't know if I could have, but like I think I could have. It was like not physically draining. So you just have that one person go a bunch of times. I was like, the Bears have an advantage. They can have Kyle go 3 times, but luckily he ended up not being good at the rock wall. But yeah,
was this the moment where
the shocks were really strong? That they.
Yeah, I don't know. Like people were hyping the shocks up a lot. I don't know if it's because like me and my twin used to play with those like shocking pen things all the time, like growing up. So I was like kind of used to that weird like shock feeling that you get. And granted, this was a bigger shock than those pens, but like it really wasn't that big of a deal. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't. I think they made sure they cranked it all to the same level though on everyone. But people were saying like the shock was going like all the way up their arm and like into their chin. My shock never got past like my elbow, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Did Trey tell you guys at this moment that he climbs regularly, or had you known this before that?
No, Trey did that about every challenge.
Yeah, okay.
I spell regularly, guys.
He was like, I do the New York Times crossword every morning.
He said he was the spelling king.
Yeah, so no, he did say he rock climb, but I also rock climb. But I was in a weird position there where like I was very confident in my rock climbing. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'll win this thing. But I also didn't want to put, like, I already had that target that I had kind of gotten off of me. And I was like, I don't want to re-put it on me. So that's why when it went into sudden death overtime and we were trying to debate, do we send up Nick or Trey? I was like dead quiet the whole time. I was fine with Trey going, but Chase ended up being like, no, it's got to be Nick. I'm team captain. And so I went and did it. And I was happy to, just because I wanted to do it for like the fun of the rock climbing. I loved it. I thought it was a fun thing, but I would have also been super happy if Trey did it, because it would have just put a bigger target on Trey compared to me. But
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, we skipped ahead a little bit. Let's get back to
my bad.
No, it's totally fine. I just want to make sure we talk about the spelling competition. What did you think about the spelling competition?
Yeah.
Watching it.
So like some people, when you ask them like, what was the most like repulsive part of the show? It's like, eating the tarantula. Like for me, it was the spelling bee. Like that was so offensive. Like, we have to spell like knife. Are you kidding me? It was insane. But to be fair, they didn't show like all the words. So there were like, people did spell. There were a lot of times where both people would spell it correctly, and then they would have to spell a next harder word. And so they only showed like the ones where like one person spelled it wrong. So to their credit, some of these people who it seemed like they couldn't spell anything, they actually did maybe spell like one of the words correct before. and
like
then they
dog or
one
cat.
on.
Yeah.
Like car. But yeah, those words were. I was actually a little nervous because I thought they were gonna like throw some zingers. Especially when I got up there, I kind of thought it'd be like maybe a production moment where they like threw me a huge curveball just to like test me. But no, I got adventure. Also, I'm pissed. I had this like gold TV moment, I thought, where they like tell me adventure. And like, I'm stoked, obviously, at this point, because I know I can spell it, but I want to like screw around a little bit. So like I yell up at Taylor and I'm like, can you use it in a sentence, please? Like a spelling bee. But,
That's
like
funny.
total smartass, but
Yeah.
they didn't air it at all. Maybe because it made me look like a smartass. I feel like the edits of everything was very family friendly.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Nick, where did you go to college, by the way? I'm not
Yeah, we don't know. We don't.
This is a trap. Yeah, I went to MIT.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Yeah, that was the one thing we couldn't. We never knew what Avery did for a living, and we never knew where you went to school. That's what
Yeah.
we couldn't figure out.
I didn't
Look,
know if
they
Chase
asked
was
me
a two-time
explicitly in the
professional athlete.
interviews.
Yeah.
I don't just willingly bring it up. Although I think I actually might have in the spelling bee.
Did you think that QT threw the challenge?
I honestly, hold on, squeaky toy, I'll be right back. But this is a great topic. Murphy.
Oh, Murphy.
Oh, Murphy. I remember Murphy.
Yes.
All right.
All right, let's ask again. Did you think that QT threw the challenge?
I was not 100% convinced, but I was like 80% that QT threw it.
Whoa.
Because Avery was so convincing. And like, look, I would never agree to it at camp. Like, I was like, Avery's crazy. But I was like, inside, I was like, Avery is making a lot of sense here. QT says she reads 100 books a year, wants to open a bookstore, and can't spell advantage.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break. But then you think about it, it's like, why would QT throw it? It doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah, why would you want to be on the wheel?
I don't know why she would throw it at all. Like, to try to take a target off of her, but like, I don't, like, it just didn't make, it wasn't convincing. So yeah, I don't know. I was like going back and forth, but I was like, maybe she just made a bad strategy move. Like maybe she did throw it, but just like probably shouldn't have, kind of a thing. But yeah, now at this point in life, I don't think she threw it. But
what about Shuby though?
I thought Shuby, I actually like talked to him afterwards. I was like, bro, ecosystem. And he's like, I thought he said ecosystem. So then I just like took his word for it. But also like, he also had no reason to throw, like the throwing concept just didn't work. Like there was no reason really to throw it.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
All that does is just put your name on the wheel.
Yeah.
Whereas, like in other shows, it makes sense to throw it sometimes because you're not necessarily automatically getting penalized. But like this show, you're automatically going on the wheel. And as everyone reminds you, even one name is enough to go home on the wheel.
Now, all the business between QT and Avery, were you kind of hoping one would come out better than the other in that instance, or were you just like, this is going to play out and I have no say in it, really?
Yeah, so I was super stoked about the QT and Avery drama because, again, it was just like, either of them is not me, so it's perfect. Like, let them be the targets and the center of attention. But I absolutely wanted QT to like come out ahead on that because we had a circle alliance. So like I actually had a connection with her, and it was mainly through Shuby. Shuby was like my carrier pigeon. But Avery like had already voted for me. Then she like tried to make a deal with me literally the day after she voted for me, where she was like, hey, like we should have an alliance and like not vote for each other. And I was like, yeah. And then I wrote her name down because like she voted for me. I thought we were gonna have an alliance because we had this history in Vegas where we made like this TikTok series thing together, whatever. I thought we had like an unspoken bond, but we didn't. So yeah, but yeah, I thought QT had a pretty epic wheel ceremony about the whole Avery situation.
What did you think about all this morality going on?
Yeah,
at camp?
Insane.
Ethics in reality TV. Let's talk about it.
It was great for me because I wasn't doing any like shady stuff really, at least like directly. So anytime people were trying to make like big strategy moves or whatever and being like, oh, how dare you vote for your friend or whatever, like I would have had no problem doing it. I just didn't need to do it because my team kept winning, right? So it's like, luckily I was in a position where I didn't have to make. Honestly, the only person who really had to do anything was Trey. Yeah. And I think he just made a bunch of really bad moves and paid the consequences for it. So, but yeah, the whole idea of like, oh, how dare you? Like all these things that you're in a game. And so, but luckily Shuby told me like, Nick, it's literally Circle Season 1 in here, like happy family vibes, Joey Sasso vibes. And I was like, okay, perfect. And so I just kind of played by that rule book. Whereas like future seasons of the Circle get a little more strategic. I think Battle Camp is going to continue to get more like backstabby and like more drama moments like that because now people know how the game works. That's the other thing. We had no idea if tonight was going to be a double spin or not, like things like that until like right before voting. So it's like hard to plan for stuff.
Yeah.
So with Trey, did you think that him asking Paulie to vote for Louis, do you think that was a bad move?
Yeah, I think that was a horrendous move. So
really,
and I'm not opposed to him voting for Louis. Like, sure, if it's me or Louis, it's gonna be Louis, right? Like, I don't blame him for that. I just think that he had a huge missed opportunity to offer up Morgan's name. Like, if you watch the conversation, all he does, you're trying to tell me that Trey, who like prides himself on all this strategy, has Paulie come up to him and say, either you or Louis is what I'm thinking. And he just takes that at face value and is like, Louis. No, that's when you're like, wait, but Paulie, have you thought about this? We have Morgan on our team. She is our weakest player. If you vote for Morgan, we can get a stronger player on our team to replace her so we can actually start taking on the Bears. And then the Eagles, your team, can also try to take on the Bears. And that way, if my team gets stronger, I can actually help you. If you get rid of Louis, he's my best competitor. We won't win anything, so I can't give you any advantage. You get rid of my weakest player, we can start winning, and I can actually protect you. Like, that would be way more compelling. And that way, Trey would keep his number one alliance, Louis. He would keep his strongest player, Louis, and they would maybe win a challenge. He gets rid of Louis, they don't win a single team challenge after that. It was horrendous.
And you think the blowback would have been less too? Because he still had Chase like kind of coming after him a little.
The whole blowback on the Louis thing was because of his like friendship with Louis. He didn't have that with Morgan, so no one would have cared.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like he should.
I never thought about that. I
don't know if Paulie would have accepted the Morgan deal, but like he should have at least tried it for it, like brought it up. Especially because if you look right before that conversation, he talks to me, and I literally tell him, "Dude." Now this was to save my own skin, but I was like, "Dude, we should just vote for each other's weakest players." Because I was basically telling him that exact argument to take on the Bears. I was like, the Bears are coasting. Let's just vote for each other. But I knew I was on Trey's radar, so I just didn't want him to vote for me. And I knew I was like one of my team's like strong players. So I was like, let's just vote for each other's weak players. And he was like, okay. And then it cuts to an interview of him, and he goes, Nick said he wants to vote for weak players, so I'm not worried about Nick. But like, if he had just taken that, he would have known I was willing to do it. Then he could have been like, hey, Paulie, Nick is going to vote for more. Like all this. He could have orchestrated a much better move, I think.
Wow. Never thought about it that way. That's very eye-opening.
What did you think about the general treatment of Trey on your team?
Yeah, so I obviously came in late, so I wasn't really privy to like how he was at camp before. But like my only introduction to Trey was him voting for his like he didn't vote for him, but him getting someone to vote for his like number one alliance, which like me personally, I didn't care if I'm like, yeah, it's it's a game move. It was a terrible move, like getting rid of your best player, but like I understood it's a game. I didn't have like a moral problem with it, but it's like everyone else did. So like, yeah, how dare you, Trey? How dare you? And then it's like, okay, your entire Wolf team gets disintegrated because you got rid of your best player, Louis. And so now you come over to the Eagles, and we literally, obviously everyone at that point is like a little hesitant because he's backstabbed someone before. Like, I don't think there's any like bullying involved or anything like that. Like we were literally like, dang, what do we do with this guy? Like, but we were all open to him proving himself. We had like a whole conversation like, dude, we really hope we can trust you. And then within 24 hours, he's like sleeping in the Bears cabin. Like, what are you doing, dude? You literally just got here. So instead of building trust, he keeps like making us lose trust. And look, do I have a problem with him going to the Bears cabin? Absolutely not. But if you're going to do that, certainly don't come back to the Eagles cabin 24 hours after that. He goes to the Bears cabin. They do like one challenge together. And he's like, they don't immediately love me. How dare they? I'm going to go back to the Eagles. So now he burned every single bridge with the Eagles when he went to the Bears. Then he burned every bridge with the Bears when he jumped back to the Eagles. I'm like, if you make a move like that, you have to commit. Like, you can't just keep jumping around.
So did he actually sleep there? I'm not sure if we were shown this.
So he actually did, like once it went to like an individual game,
Yes,
I believe.
that we saw.
But no, I meant sleep there like more metaphorically. Like he
Yeah,
was
we
literally in their
understand.
cabin, like having
Yeah.
conversations with them. And like Georgia and Lorenzo were like listening in.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think about the whole Chase and Trey thing, though? Chase.
Yeah, that was extreme. But like, and to be fair, they didn't even show like the most extreme part of it.
Yeah, we heard about that.
But so for me, because I know Chase, I know that he like plays this. Like, I used to think Chase was like a mega douche, and like maybe he is still to some degree. But like then in knowing him now from like Perfect Match and Battle Camp, he plays a role on TV. He's like the villain, and he knows that, and so he has to do things. So when he like got all in Trey's face, I was like to me, I could see right through it. I was like, this is so inauthentic. Like, this is literally just him trying to get like a TV moment. So I didn't think of it anything like deeper than trying to get a TV moment. Was it like a good moment? No. But I literally think he was just trying so hard to play like a villain role. But then if you don't know Chase at all, or you never like talk to him, then you like maybe take something like that more seriously.
Yeah.
But like for me, I was honestly like kind of cringing because I was like, this is so out of character. Like, for him to be doing, it was so weird. But yeah, I kind of forget what part did they air of it on TV.
They aired like at breakfast thing, like they aired Chase saying like, I'm gonna choose peace over violence.
Yeah, like a quiet threat.
But we know that was the point at which Chase got in Trey's face.
Yeah,
We've been told through our investigations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so weird. But watching that part, I was like secretly kind of stoked because I was like, Chase is just painting a huge target on himself now, hopefully. I don't think it actually ended up doing that, but in my mind, I was like, sweet, Chase is getting overly aggressive. This Tony guy before me sounds like he was kind of similar. I mean, he wasn't similar at all, but like that was my mindset. Like, oh,
yeah,
these like bigger aggressive personalities are getting booted, so perfect.
Yeah.
Back to after the spelling part. Lorenzo at one point pitches Shuby and you immediately shoot it down. Was Shuby's name brought up at all besides that?
That was after the spelling challenge, you said?
Yeah, it was like it was while Avery was going after QT. Lorenzo brings up Shuby and you're just like, no, I mean, I don't think it was a very serious thing.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever want to target Shuby?
So at the very start of Battle Camp, I actually threw out his name because I was kind of like trying to do this whole thing of people not thinking that he was actually like my number one alliance. So I like very casually early on was like, wait, guys, what if we like maybe went after Shuby? He's kind of like the kingpin over there, right? And then like Georgia or someone was like, I love Shuby. And I was like, okay, yeah, never mind, stupid idea. But I like just threw it out there just to like try to throw some scent off of me of like, oh, Nick doesn't actually work with Shuby. He just brought up getting rid of him. But like, I think other than that, like no one even brought the guy up, which was great for me because Shuby would always be checking in like, am I safe, bro? And it was like the easiest job ever. I'm just like, yep. No one has said your name, dude.
At what point did you start to see like Georgia and Lorenzo as like a really big threat in the game? Because it felt like they were the tightest couple in the game.
I was like, it blew my mind that no one was voting for them. Obviously, I wasn't going to, but I pretty immediately, like within a few days, I was like, oh, like I already knew Georgia was a big competitor and like athletic girl. And I didn't really know Lorenzo very well. But from watching the challenges that he was doing, I was like, oh, this guy too. And then I also knew their social game was incredible. They had everyone at camp laughing, all this stuff. I would have voted for them at any instant, but they were on my team. So like I had no reason to. I was like, oh, I need my team to keep winning. I'm not going to like vote out Georgia just like Trey would vote out Louis type of a thing. Like that's a strong player. I'm not getting rid of a strong player. So I like didn't want to, but it blew my mind that no one else was voting for them. I was like, you guys, like Georgia Lorenzo have like never had their name on the wheel and they're literally winning like every single challenge. What are you doing? But I think there were a lot of very questionable votes happening throughout the whole time. Like, it made no sense to me why, even in the first vote, why some people were voting out Lexi.
Yeah,
Like,
we thought the
why
same
were
thing.
why were the Wolves voting for Lexi? What are you doing? That is the worst strategy I've ever heard. Like,
Yeah.
if she's really dragging that team down, leave her in.
So hindsight 2020, how much do you think you would have changed up your game knowing what the ending was going to be in terms of how the wheel decided the winner?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think I would have been in a really good position for the finale. I think me and Trey probably would have done the best in that, just because I feel like Trey and I were really good at the challenges, like physically and sort of mentally. And so I think I would have got a lot of points from that gauntlet of punishments to get my name on the wheel. So I think I would have done well there, but I didn't make it to the finale. And so, like, I don't think I would have changed anything knowing that that's how the finale goes, except maybe like not won some of the stuff as much. But even that being said, like when I went up against QT on the rock wall, I was like climbing much slower than my first time because I was like trying not to put this big target on my back, but I still ended up winning. But it's like, if I knew the very end, and everyone knew that the very end was like how many challenges can you win type of a vibe, for how many names you get on the wheel, then maybe I would have tried not to look as good, because they'd be like, I don't want to bring Nick into the finale because he's like going to win all the challenges or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think my biggest mistake, which isn't that big, well, besides losing my paddle, but when Polly, like, I think I went so anti-showmance with Polly that like we didn't really talk at all at camp. And she ends up voting for me right before the finale. So like if I would change my like whole camp time, it would have been like getting more of an alliance with Polly going, because she really had no reason to keep me. I like was not strategizing with her at all. And she's one of the people who voted me, and then Trey also did. But those are the only 2 votes I got when I got eliminated. So I couldn't have done much better, except for the 2 other times my name were on there, which was for the losing the challenge and losing the punishment. But
Okay, yeah.
We see you calculating a lot on the show, talking about probability.
I love math.
How often were you and Shuby doing stuff like this?
yeah, every wheel ceremony.
Yeah. Did it help at all?
Honestly, it did help, like doing the math, because then you kind of see, like, yeah, your name might be on there a few times, but in all probability, you're still way more likely to stay than
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah,
like it actually, I think, helped a lot with like mentality. Like, yeah, my name's on there 4 times, but it's also not on there 14 times. So
Yeah. At the next elimination, when Avery and Gio go home, you receive 0 votes. How surprised were you by that you were able to reduce your threat level from 7 votes to 0?
Yeah, I was super surprised that I got 0. I thought for sure I would get more. I was pretty confident that none of the circle people would vote for me, but I thought way more of the yellow team, like the Wolves. I thought a lot more of them would have voted for me, because I was like, why would they change up so quickly after they had just voted for me? Like, I understood the circle people won it because like I was like, circle fam, I got you. But the Wolves, like, I didn't really have tight alliances with them at that point, so I thought for sure they would just put my name up again. But luckily there were some bigger targets that kind of like stepped into the picture and kind of took off the heat, so I got really lucky.
I have a question about this moment. This is a little while after you and Shoe Bomb are talking, and you say that his probability would be better if the Eagles lost.
6 slots in the wheel already filled up by all of us.
Ooh, Mickey.
Then another 2 for the
It's like
punishment.
Christmas.
Were you like considering throwing a challenge or something, or were you guys just talking the shit about probability?
Wait, I'm trying to fill in the context of that clip. What was I saying there? I said,
You were just saying, you're just talking about like, hey, if we lose, the Eagles lose, and the Bears win, you'll have a better chance of staying. And then Shuby goes, "Ooh, Nikki, it's like Christmas."
Mickey, it's Christmas.
Yeah, that was probably just me trying to give Shuby some morale boost.
Okay, I was like, are you
feel
trying to, I didn't think you'd throw it, but it was just kind of like so
No,
random.
I honestly I went into the show thinking I would be open to throwing a challenge, but A, it made no sense strategically to throw a
Yeah.
challenge. Like you're just getting your name on. But B, I also realized, for example, in the rock wall thing, even though I didn't want to be a target and I was winning by a mile on the wall, I still didn't really slow down that much because it's still just within me is this competitor that just wants to win. So it's I don't even know if I have it in me to throw a challenge. So I was a little surprised by that, honestly.
Tell us about Slingshot.
I haven't slingshot before.
that was one of the most underappreciated lines. I don't even know if my team registered that I said it.
Yeah, no laughs there.
It was so horrible.
Yeah.
And then you can see me laughing to myself after I say it because no one else was laughing. I mean, that's how a lot of my jokes go, but it was slingshot. I don't know. I thought it was funny. I'm glad they put it in there. I forgot I even said it.
It was funny. I thought it was funny.
We liked it. Yeah.
Thank you.
We approved.
I have been getting some DMs of people slingshot OMG or whatever. So some of the audience appreciated it.
So were you guys really actually worried that Trey was going to throw this challenge?
I definitely was. I wasn't for sure that he would, but he was such a wild card. Literally every 24 hours he was forming an alliance with a completely new set of people. So I had no idea where he stood at that point. So yeah, I thought there was a 50-50 that he would throw it or not.
I love these different perspectives because
it's amazing. Yeah.
We had Trey on here, and it's he's the sane one, and you're all insane, and now you're he is.
What are you talking about? Nothing he did built trust. Literally nothing. There was 0 ounce. And then in the bathroom scene, there's a scene in the bathroom where it's just me and him talking. And he goes, "Who are you thinking to vote?" And I'm like, "Well, dude, honestly, you're on my radar because I just don't know if I can trust you." Thinking he'll be like, "Well, dude, here's the thing. Let me explain myself. You can trust me because of this." And he just goes, "Really?" So I'm like, okay, what? Where's the strategy here? It made no sense to me.
I had a question about that moment actually in the bathroom. I had it written down because in that confessional, you say that you need to keep talking to him so that he doesn't scramble, but you want to get him out. Well, if you didn't want him to scramble, why didn't you just tell him that he was safe that day?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely should have told him he wasn't even on my radar, I guess. But honestly, at that point, I was this is actually what was going on in my head. I was so tired of Trey at that point, just not knowing where he stood and being such a wild card and scheming so much. And look, there's a time and place for all that scheming, but Circle Season 1, it was not that place. And that was kind of the vibe of this camp. And it was I don't really want to be associated with Trey either. I tried to work with him when I first got in there, but now I know he's sort of public enemy number 1. It makes no sense for me strategically to try to partner with that. So I was I was just really wanting to get him out. He was really frustrating me. So I couldn't help myself. I was yeah, dude, you're for sure on my list of people that I'm going to probably be voting for. Wow. But I didn't think at that, being straight up, he would straight up give me reasons to trust him, but he just didn't. So it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
How are you and Trey today?
Good. We're fine. We actually we got eliminated on the same day, obviously on that double spin. So we both ended up going back to the hotel in the same shuttle, and then we explored Mexico together.
Ooh. So
nice.
but can you trust him?
Oh yeah, because it's not in a game. The only time I don't trust these people is in a game.
Now, Shuby's perspective was the most interesting of everybody's because he was I love all those guys, dude. They're all so electric. We just love these guys,
Yeah, that's the typical Shuby perspective.
Yeah.
On the fence, but it works in Battle Camp Season 1 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, how do you think you would have done on the general knowledge punishment?
I feel they didn't show all the. Maybe they did, but I felt they didn't show all the questions on it.
Well, do you want me to ask you some of them?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, why are you scared, Nick? You went to MIT.
Why are you scared? I think you went to MIT. How tall is the Empire State Building?
Look, I don't know Taylor Swift songs.
How tall is the Empire State Building?
What options did they give?
They didn't give any options.
They didn't give any.
Just was like listed in feet or something?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. It's hard.
How many stories is it? Like
I don't know.
200?
I don't know.
Do you know the nearest star to the Earth?
The sun?
Yes.
You got it. You got it.
Didn't someone say like Mars or something for that?
Yes, Kyle said Mars. And QT put Pluto. The
Wait,
other
did
one,
they really not teach Taylor Swift lyrics at MIT?
yeah.
I think I might have skipped that elective.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No.
You know, Kyle's a Vanderbilt grad, right? Isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the main classes he took is how to zip the person you're cheating on your girlfriend with into suitcases.
Yep.
So yeah.
Wait, what?
Does everybody not know this story?
Nobody knows this story. We reference it so much on the podcast.
Okay. So
In his book,
yeah,
he
do you know
wrote a
Kyle
book.
wrote a
You wrote
book?
book?
Okay, when Kyle graduated from Vanderbilt, he tried to get a book published revealing what happens in the Vanderbilt basketball program. And part of it was when he was cheating on his girlfriend, she was knocking on his dorm room door, and there was a girl in the room, and to hide her, he zipped her inside of a suitcase.
What?
Yes.
Is this published or no?
I don't know if it's published, but it's
And how
out
do you
there.
know
You
this
can read.
lore?
You can read the excerpts.
Yeah.
Kyle.
This is all his words.
Mr.
Yeah.
Baby Girl, I'm there for you on Instagram. Yeah, this is Kyle.
wow. Damn, y'all really do your research.
Yeah.
I mean, how could we not when it's stories like that? You know?
So goofy.
So you guys don't all talk about this? You don't know?
Well,
You guys
now
weren't making luggage jokes the whole time out there? What's going on?
I'll definitely be doing some research after this podcast.
Yes. He was trying to expose the program, but instead he exposed how weird he is.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that even has to do with the basketball program.
Yeah.
That's how crazy life is as a basketball star.
Vanderbilt's crazy, dude.
So for the next vote, your whole team, including Chase, agrees to vote for Kyle, but then it turns out that Chase didn't. You kind of call him out on it, and you tell us that he's a hypocrite. Yeah, tell us about this.
So Trey had just voted for me. So Chase votes for Trey. I could not be more stoked. I was happy with that vote, even though we had all agreed to vote for Kyle. I was like, hey, if you're going to not vote for Kyle, at least vote for Trey. That's fine with me. Great. Trey voted for me. Publicly, I was like, Chase, how dare you? That was so hypocritical. Because I was just trying to put a target on him. Like, I really did not give a crap at all. But I was like, someone's going to have to go next. Might as well be Chase and not me. So I was like, man, it's a little hypocritical, dude. Like, we all had a deal. Because I just wanted to like at least plant a seed to come back to in the future with my team when we eventually, I didn't know how it was going to work. I thought maybe we'd have to start voting internally or who knows. So I wanted to like get a seed planted to be like, guys, remember when Chase broke his promise and like didn't vote for Kyle? But I actually personally didn't care. If he had voted for Shuby or something, I would have cared because Shuby was like my ally. But like Trey, tried to make alliances with and just never could. So I was like, fine.
Wow.
But, yeah.
All right. So it becomes an individual game. How are you feeling?
I was so excited when it went individual, honestly, because then I was like, my plan was to start targeting Georgia and Lorenzo because I had never got to do that up to that point. And I knew by living in their cabin and being on their team that they were like probably, I viewed them as like my biggest competition. So once it went individual, I was like, finally, I can start like coordinating shots against them. There's no way I was going to coordinate shots against Georgia and Lorenzo up until that point because of the whole morale of the camp is like voting internally was so bad. But also strategically, it would have made no sense because we probably would have lost challenges then. But
yeah. So tell us about this nighttime challenge.
I'm not sure if it's Nick or a dying seal out there.
yeah, I don't know if I deserve that commentary.
It's like the one time when he had the strong perspective on something. Was about you.
Yeah, so I was stoked for the like kayaking because I've kayaked like all the time. I've kayaked in Kentucky, in Seattle, in Austin, like everywhere. Very competent. And I was overhearing people like QT saying she's never kayaked in her life. So I was like, oh, I'm going to eat this up. So my whole plan was I'm going to kayak to the second platform, get the matches. There's no way I want flint and steel, but I also don't need all the fire starter stuff at the very end. Like I'm competent with a match. to start a fire. So I was like, sweet, I'm just going to book it out there, get the match, come back before anyone. Perfect. And it was going to be glorious. And then I like read this book before I showed up to battle camp called How to Win the Challenge. It's like How to Win MTV The Challenge.
Oh.
And she
Who
like
wrote it?
Yeah.
I actually don't know the name off the top of my head. But she like interviewed all sorts of challenge winners and stuff. And so
Probably Wes. No.
I was listening to, I think I was audiobooking it because I was listening, I think. She was like talking about Johnny Bananas. And he says, because he like is notorious for winning a bunch of stuff on those shows.
Yeah.
And so he was like saying in every single challenge, which this comes back to the tray thing of like, which hand am I going to hold the tray with? He was like, in every single challenge, I was trying to think of like, what can I do to give me any sort of edge over everyone else that's like maybe a stretch of the rule or maybe like right on the edge of the rules or whatever. And so they don't show, obviously, when they're clarifying the rules for the kayak stuff, but I straight up was like asking, like, am I allowed to throw the other bags off into the water after I grab mine and stuff? Like, I don't know, but that would probably be good if I did that. But they were like, no, you can't do that. But you can like do stuff like that. So my strategy, I was like, all right, we're supposed to like run in with these kayaks, jump in them and start going. I was like, how can I get an advantage over everyone else? So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? Everyone else is probably just going to try to like sit in their thing and then they'll be in the shallow end trying to like paddle out of the shallow end. I was like, I'm going to be much faster, run in as far as I can go until I like get water up to my waist. And then I'll just shimmy on into the kayak and be like leagues ahead because I can sprint faster than these people are going to like be paddling in shallow water. So I like sprint in, and then because I get so deep, I'm like jostling the kayak, I guess, so that by the time I like jump into it, the paddle freaking falls out. But in my head, when I discover that the paddle's gone, besides a bunch of profanity, I was like, you know what? Probably not a big deal. I know that paddles float. Like nowadays, all paddles are designed to float. Surely I'll find it. But it was like pitch black. And I'm like looking for this damn paddle that has like a black handle on it.
Oh my
Can't
God.
see it anywhere. Meanwhile, all the kayaks are going past me. The advantage that I had by being out in front, I was out in front of everyone for a little bit and it was going perfectly until I lost the paddle. Everyone starts zooming past me. So at this point, it's like, I have to make this split decision. Am I going to wait another 20 seconds looking for this paddle? And by that time, I don't know anyone else's strategy. Maybe they're all going for flint and steel. So they all get the flint bags. Now I have no paddle and I have to swim to the farthest platform. I'm going to die. Like the water was 30 degrees. It was horrible. Like it was freezing cold, super far, high altitude. You can barely breathe. I'm a good swimmer, but like I would have been gassed. So I was like, I don't have time to look for this paddle. I need to get to that platform before anyone else does. So I just start surfboard swimming it. And honestly, by the time I got back, I was gassed. I like could not believe how tired I was. Because my first part of the strategy was running in waist deep into the freezing cold water. So I was already shivering. My whole body's like shaking, like trying to keep warm. Then I'm like paddling. I have a GoPro in my face, like on the front of the kayak for like a lot of it. And eventually I'm like, screw this thing. I can't even like see where I'm going. That's probably when he says I look like a dead seal. And so I like smack the GoPro down so that I can actually like see when I'm like swimming. And that's why like some of the GoPro angles are just like of like the top of my hair. But yeah, I made it to the platform before any of the other people who were going for the flint and steel platform. So pretty good for a dog paddle.
But we heard that the flint and steel was like impossible, right?
Dude, yeah, it was like, because I feel, to be fair, I've never made a fire with just that. And I was getting sparks, but I also feel like a lot of times people have like shavings that go into the like kindling too. Like you're scraping like magnesium or some other thing in there to catch fire more easily. And we didn't have that, or at least I'm not that I'm aware of. So it's just like,
that would be really hard then.
we're just straight up just flinging sparks into like.
I didn't realize they didn't give you magnesium.
Yeah, no magnesium. It's like, what am I doing here? So then I was trying to think the whole time. So I'm like getting sparks, nothing happening. I'm trying to think in my head, what exactly were the rules here? Am I allowed to like bring my kindling over to someone else's fire? I was like trying to think of any sort of workaround that I could do. But they like explicitly, I was like trying to remember what they explicitly, because the way it works, like they read you the rules on the show that you hear like Taylor say, but the real rules are much longer. And it's like the production team comes out, they make sure everyone has all their questions answered because they don't want any ambiguity. They don't want anything to go wrong. And so I was trying to think like, did they say that I can't go over and take their stuff? Or did they say I'm not even allowed to take my stuff to their pit? Like I was trying to think through what I could do because I was like, I'm not starting this fire, but I literally couldn't think of like any alternative means of making a fire. I got kind of screwed. It's very unfortunate. But I'm pretty convinced if I hadn't lost the paddle, I would have won that, or at least been in the top 3 and been safe from punishment. And that was kind of my downfall, I think, at that point. Because then obviously they're picking me for the punishment, and I was pissed that I didn't win that punishment, which I have excuses for. But
what's your excuse?
Yeah. So we have to wear these like big clogging black boots for the thing, and they bring me out a pair. Because for some reason they didn't give me one when I first joined, maybe because I joined late, I don't know. So they bring me this pair, and it's like a size too big, and I'm like, oh, like these are too big, and they're like, oh, we don't have any more, but it's fine, it won't matter. I'm like, okay, I have no idea what the punishment's going to be, and then we have to go on this rope with a tiny little knot, and then you know what? Have you ever been bouldering? Like you wear the skin tight shoes because you need perfect grip on all the little like rock nubs when you're like rock climbing and bouldering. Yeah. So the tighter the shoe, the better, obviously. And I'm in these shoes that are a size too big, trying to grapple onto a knot. And so like my feet are obviously sliding outwards in the too big of a shoe. So your weight's on that side. I'm like, give me a break. Now, I'm not saying that's the only reason. Like, I'm not saying I would have won if I had better fitting boots, but it probably would have helped a little bit at least. But I was kind of annoyed because I literally told them it was a size too big.
Yeah. That would be very annoying.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. And then Trey stole my rope technique. So, eventually after 5 minutes or something, I find this position that was so clutch where you have the rope here, you lock it into your elbow here. And then with this arm, you're just kind of or maybe it was like this way, you're just kind of propped like this. And you can stay like this, like holding the rope for a long time. And then when you get tired, you just kind of switch it. And it was clutch. Like I was doing so well. And then Trey sees me doing that and copies my form. He just stole my technique. Bastard.
Can't trust him.
To be fair, I would have done that too. But I was annoyed that he took my technique. But at least afterwards, he did tell me that. He was like, yeah, dude, you looked so stable. So I just copied what you were doing. Damn it.
If you had won that punishment, do you think your probability of staying would have increased enough to save you from the wheel?
So that's the thing. When I think about it, it's like, Nick, do you wish you had won that punishment? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's so hard to know. But because what would happen if I won is people would then potentially get back to the argument of, oh, Nick is so dangerous. He's such a physical challenge. Let's vote for him. So maybe by winning the challenge, I would have actually earned myself more votes. You never know. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, do I think taking my name off once would have earned me more than one extra vote of people being like, Nick's a threat is kind of like the vibe, right? Like if winning the punishment convinced 2 people to vote for me, then obviously it would have been worse. And I should have just lost the punishment. So it's kind of hard to say. I don't think it's hard to know, but I don't think if I won the punishment, it would have got me extra votes. So I do think it probably would have been better for me to win it, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think who would have voted for me. And it wouldn't have been the circle people. I don't think it would have been Chase. So I do think it would have been beneficial. And yeah, then my name would have only been on there 3 times instead of 4. But I don't know. I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
Yeah. The wheel does what the wheel does,
It's the wheel. It's the wheel.
It is
the wheel. It has a mind of its own. A mind of its own. Some people call it a mind. Some people call it mechanics.
So after the punishment, we get this thing. You're talking about how you have the Circle Crew Alliance, but you also have this relationship with Georgia and Lorenzo. But then the show cuts to a scene with Polly, Georgia, and Lorenzo, and they're like, we got to get Nick out. Were you surprised watching this back that you didn't have as close of a relationship with Georgia and Lorenzo, even though we just learned that you wanted to get them out? So
yeah, I had a very clear understanding that I was kind of like bottom of the totem pole in my cabin in terms of Georgia and Lorenzo were the tightest. Chase joins. I know Chase and Georgia in real life are like me and Shuby, like best buds. So I knew Chase, Georgia, Lorenzo were going to be like higher tier in the pecking order than me. And then Polly had been in the team longer than me. So I thought she probably was too. So I kind of knew that I wasn't good, but luckily, because of that, I was like, if I just keep dominating challenges for my team, they're still not going to want to do anything to get rid of me or anything like that. Like if we had ever lost a challenge, I don't think they would have tried to convince Shuby and everyone to vote for me, because they'd probably try to convince them to vote for Pauly and like get rid of our weaker player type of a vibe. So I was like, as long as I can do it well individually for our team, I'll be good. But I knew I was at the bottom of the order. But I was surprised watching it, seeing them explicitly be like, yeah, we should get rid of Nick. But I knew like sort of implicitly that was going to happen. And it was the same, like, even though they didn't air me saying it, I had the exact same mentality. I was like, I'm going to be going for Georgia and Lorenzo. That was going to be, once it went individual, my whole thing was I was going to team up with the circle people, because in that tier hierarchy, I was actually in a good spot compared to my Eagles camp where I was at the bottom. So I was going to start shifting more to them and then voting for Georgia Lorenzo to get out, which I think like Trey was trying to do some of that stuff way too early. Like when he was doing it, it just made no sense to kind of switch alliances like that. But if he had waited longer to make those moves, which like we didn't know when it was going to become individual or anything, so it's hard to like say. Obviously in hindsight you can say a lot of things, but I think he just was like making some of these moves too hastily and too early. But
So Shuby wouldn't answer this question for us. I think you will. You've been on 3 reality shows now. Can you rank them for us in your favorite experiences?
oh, you know, they're all good. They're all electric.
They're all electric.
My absolute favorite one was Battle Camp.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
And then the circle, and then Perfect Match.
Really? You didn't Perfect Match wasn't
Perfect
your favorite?
Match was at the bottom.
Look,
It's a step down.
It was fine, but like for me mentally, it just made no sense.
You got to watch Joey and Carousel get engaged.
You got to kiss a bunch of ladies.
Yeah, you know, that part was good, but the concept makes no sense. How are you gonna have a competition show mixed with a love show where like, even if you don't love anyone, you still match with them just so you can stay in the house, just so that you can win the competition at the end? Like, there was so much stuff that doesn't make sense in the Perfect Match concept.
Wait, you guys didn't all love each other?
Yeah, it's crazy. And also, like, you would think everyone on that show would have been single. But weird. It was literally Temptation Island out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Battle Camp I loved. I do have some ideas of improvement for it, but
tell us.
I loved just like the combination of finally being able to do like actual physical challenges. I wish the challenges were more physical, to be honest, but hopefully they will be once it gets like bigger and bigger. But
tell us your ideas of improvement, though.
Yeah. So idea of improvement here kind of is a la challenge, but my least favorite. So I love the wheel as far as like TV and unpredictability. Like great, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of emotion. Some people cry. But the thing that sucks is that at the end of the day, that means it's totally random if you go home. Like, and that doesn't sit well with me. So I think what they should do is at a minimum, you always have to spin the wheel twice. Maybe sometimes you even do it 3 times, but you always spin it twice. And that selects 2 players that then have to do a head-to-head challenge to stay in. So they spin it, it lands on Nick. They spin it, it lands on Shuby. And maybe we have a multiplication table that we have to compete against. Or maybe we have to rock wall climb. Like, who knows? It could be, they can still do like brains challenges, spelling challenges, and physical, like whatever. You don't know what it'll be. But I think that way, at least I would have still some control over my destiny. And like the reason I say that it could be math stuff is because some people will be like, oh, well then just the strongest person will never leave because they'll always win the challenge. Well, no, maybe not if it's a spelling bee. Like you never know what like that ringer challenge will be. So I think
they should do like coding challenges, right?
They can do that too. Yeah. But
so it's like the challenge.
Control over your destiny. And I think it would be like a lot better. And they could get rid of punishments to like account for the TV time. Instead of the punishment challenge, it's the elimination challenge, the head-to-head. Well, and my last point on that is it gives hero moments. So like Shuby, my #1 alliance, let's say it lands on him. Boop. Then they spin it again. It lands on Chase. Now Shuby has to do like a push-up competition against Chase. I know he's going to lose. I know he's going to get eliminated. But I'm way closer with Shuby than Chase. I could be like, I volunteer as tribute. I will go in for Shuby.
Wow.
Wow.
And be like a hero and like try to take out Chase or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that would be incredible TV.
That'd be sick.
And Taylor goes, may the odds be ever in your favor.
Yeah, I think that punishments need to be improved. They were a little lackluster.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and they
They
reused
repeated them.
one of them.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Two
Or
of
were,
two
them.
Yeah,
they were definitely lower budget. And I think if they did the elimination head-to-heads, it would be a lot more compelling than a punishment suit. Because all the punishment does at the end of the day is give two people a name on the wheel. And I think just show format-wise, the winning team being immune and giving out punishments, I'm like, why do you get two good things? No.
yeah.
You can be immune or you can give out punishments. Why do they get both? That doesn't sit well with me either. Like, why would you give the winning team that much of an advantage? Then they're just going to keep winning, which is what happened in the show. Like, you have teams that just go on runs. The Bears won until like me and Chase came in, and then it was like Eagles never lost. Like,
Yeah. You weren't crazy about the finale format for the circle either. Like, did you have lower expectations coming into battle camp, just being like, I don't know if it's going to be like exactly what I want going into this?
I like the concept of the finale, but I will say what the circle did well that I think battle camp could also learn from is, and I don't know exactly, I haven't fully thought through it, but in the circle, a newcomer is immune like on their first day. Like, they're not up for elimination. So they actually have a chance to build alliances. And on battle camp, I come in on the first day, I get 7 votes. That seems so unfair. Like, of course I can't have as strong of a relationship with everyone else who's already been there for a week when I've been there for a day. Like, I should be immune for that first spin. Because then by the next day, when I actually had time to talk to circle people, I had no votes on my name. Like, give me a chance to actually have some sort of social game like the circle does.
Even in perfect match, if you came in, they still like let you stay in the house for the first round of dating.
Exactly.
In a way, I felt like the wheel kept you immune, though. The wheel works in mysterious ways. Guys?
Yeah, I had no business surviving the double. I think I did the math, and it was like a 70% chance of going home or something.
Interesting how that works out. So, Nick, would you do Battle Camp Season 2?
I would do any future season of Battle Camp.
Wow.
Couldn't recommend it more. Loved it. Sign me up.
We really liked it. The show really got good as the episodes went on too.
And I think
we're legit fans of Battle Camp. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think now that like viewers know the format and other potential contestants know the format, it will continue to get more like layers of social strategy in it and backstabbing and all the other good stuff that like Survivor and Big Brother do. So yeah, I would love to go back because I wanted it to be more like that, but it was more of like happy family vibes. But I would love to come back when it is more like plotting vibes.
I feel like it's gonna evolve. It's gonna evolve.
That's what I'm saying.
These shows, they start out like that, I feel like, and then
I'm sure there'll be
get more and more cutthroat.
A few rule changes, format changes, and it'll keep getting better and better. But
we wish we had seen more of you, though. You came in too late and you left us too soon, just like Gabby, R.I.P.
Yeah, well, I did last longer than Gabby, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, came in pretty late, unfortunately. But yeah.
So what's going on with you now? The people want to know. Are you single? Can they date you? That's what all the fans want to know.
Yes, I'm very single.
Okay. Are the DMs open? The fans want to know.
The DMs are wide open.
Okay, let's go.
But the thing is, like, I'll get DMs from girls that live in like Italy or like Pennsylvania or like whatever. It's like cool, but I live in Austin, so like it's nice to get DMs and stuff, but I'm never gonna like willingly try to like start a relationship with an internet stranger who lives across the world.
You gotta fly him in.
Let's say they do a Love Is Blind Austin. Are you thinking you might go for something like that? Would you get married within a couple of months, Nick?
Look, I don't know if Love Is Blind is the show for me. I think I would be an immediate villain on that show.
Yeah.
But you think you'd get like a Shane at it?
No, I think well, maybe. Like, because the thing is, once all the couples got together afterwards and I saw a girl that I thought was like really good looking, especially if it was a girl that I think because Shane had a really good connection in the pods with one of the girls who ended up being like really good looking too. Like if it was that situation, I'd probably be trying to like talk with her. So I'd be a villain.
Yeah. The Love Is Blind audience is gonna like that.
It's my birthday. I'm so fucked.
Do you still talk with Shane? Oh, he lives in Austin now. Do you guys see each other?
Yeah, sometimes not a ton, but sometimes we'll like work out together or like.
That's what I was gonna say. He's
whatever,
jacked now.
Yeah, he's like
super
fitness,
jacked.
fitness man now.
Yeah, absolutely jacked, and he does online personal training.
Ooh, he does. That sounds hilarious.
So he's kicked the cheese curds to the curb, huh?
I guess
Yeah.
so.
Wow.
Is he still with what's her face from that show?
He's with Julie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
From
From
The Trust.
The Trust. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
I do know her. I just
Which,
forgot.
speaking of other Netflix shows, if you haven't watched $1 Million Secret, I would recommend that. It's very good.
Yeah, I liked that. That show was
I like
cool.
$1 Million Secret. Yeah.
But I have a gripe with that. I know that's not the purpose of this
You
call.
talk about whatever
No,
you want.
please. We talk all
Excellent.
Netflix. All Netflix.
Excellent. So here's my gripe with it, which is also my gripe with The Circle. So in The Circle, it's all like framed as being like anti-catfish, like get rid of the catfish, even though, as we all know, it doesn't freaking matter if you're a catfish or not, right? Like, who cares? Same thing with $1 Million Secret. It's all framed as get rid of the millionaire, get rid of the millionaire, but it doesn't freaking matter. Like, it doesn't. Like, in fact, if I know the millionaire on day one, I don't want to vote out the millionaire. I'd rather know who it is and keep it that way.
Right.
Give me an advantage throughout the show. And so I don't have to be the one stressing about it. Like, whatever. Like, it's the same with catfishes. Like, it doesn't matter who's a catfish or not. Same with, it literally doesn't matter who's a millionaire or not. I would rather get rid of physical threats in $1 Million Secret than get rid of the actual millionaire. If the millionaire is a scrub, not winning anything and not getting advantages, I'd rather get rid of people who I think are going to actually win advantages.
It's kind
I
of
know.
similar
Whenever
to-
that was proposed, people wouldn't go with it, and I'm like, you know who that guy is? Clearly the millionaire. Just keep him around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like
But
that's the
does have
same
a
thing
way
with
of,
the
like-
traders, you guys. Like the traders, if you know who one of the traders are, then don't like immediately start gunning for them. Get closer to the trader
Yeah.
so that they don't consider you a threat. They'll never want to kill you. That way
Yeah.
you can at least go way further in the game and then take your shot in the later stages.
Yeah, that's true. Although in the traders scenario, because there can be multiple traders, but there can't be multiple millionaires. If there's multiple traders and you're too buddy-buddy with a trader, then people might think, like, once the other trader gets eliminated, like, oh, Nick must be the other trader because they're so buddy-buddy.
It's
Like,
a line that you have to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a balance.
which you don't have to be as careful with on the $1 Million Secret one because there's only one millionaire. Like, no one's going to think there's
no.
2 millionaires.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, great show though.
Yeah, it was good. I like Sydney a lot. I think she would be good on other shows.
Yeah, super competitive, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, Nick, we have had a great time with you today. We love getting to talk with you. You've been one of our longest podcast friends. It's been so long now. It's been like 4 years. It's
Ever since
crazy.
the Circle Alert days.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
where can people find you online to date you?
You know, just find me at hinge.com. Yeah, just at Nick Uhlenhuthl on everything. And you spell Uhlenhuth just like it sounds.
Okay.
OOL.
Yeah. No, I'm on pretty much only on Instagram and TikTok. Not a big Snapchatter.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when people talk about Snapchat, but you know,
Same. Especially
I
if you're over the
assume
age
that
of 30.
Snapchat's paying them to post when that comes up.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made in Snapchat, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nick, we'll see you on your next Netflix show, or hopefully sooner.
Yeah, hopefully sooner. And if not, definitely on a Netflix show, hopefully.
Yeah.
Roll the outro music.
Let's do it. It's the place you go when you finish your show. We're your two best friends. Our names are Max and Ben. We're self-proclaimed television experts. It's reality alert.